Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show, to the podcast. Today's episode, I'm excited because I want to share a client journey. This client worked with me since the end of October last year, I believe, and she enrolled in our 101 private coaching and has come such a long way with her healing journey. And so in today's episode, I want to share all about her journey, some of the symptoms that she was experiencing prior to working with me, and where she is at today. But I do want to share a little bit of a life update because I know some of you have been really curious about why I'm back home in Canada, especially when I literally left Canada to start a new chapter in Colombia. Basically, long story short, I had some concerns about some safety issues in Colombia, so I decided to come back to Canada. And also in terms of where I'm heading with my business and wanting to network more, it just made more sense for me to be back in Canada so I could have more of those opportunities. So basically, this is why I'm here. I'm back to Canada. It was a very last minute decision, but it's happening. And I feel really good about it because being back in Vancouver has always been a very difficult thing for me. I had a very difficult childhood. I kind of have a weird relationship with my parents, and we lived in this house that I grew up in back in Richmond. That's where I went through TSW. That was when a lot of childhood traumas, I guess you would say, happened there. And so every time I would go back into that house, I would always have these really bad eczema flares. But being back this time around has been really interesting. And I want to share this really quickly before we dive into the episode is I started my career as a dietitian back in 2019, and I worked in a hospital called Peace Arch Hospital, and it's in White Rock, which is a very beautiful coastal city here in BC. And I started my business during the time I was working as a full-time dietitian in the hospital. And then in 2021, I decided to go full-time in my business. And I remember back then in 2021, I dreaded going into work. I wanted to work on my business all the time. I was so ready to just leave corporate. And then I made the decision to leave corporate in 2021. And I've never looked back since. I've traveled the world since 2022 when I left Canada. I've experienced so many amazing things, met incredible people, saw the beauty of the different countries that I went to. And I literally told myself back in 2022, I'm not coming back to Canada. I feel so much better being outside of Canada. Canada is no longer going to be my home, especially since I've lived here for 30 years. And now that I'm back so suddenly, it's really interesting because my parents ended up selling the home in Richmond. They bought a new place here in White Rock where I started my career. And it just happened to be down the street from the hospital that I used to work at. And then I reconnected with my old boss, who I always got along with. We always had the same values and the same beliefs with dietitians. I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of them are pretty conventional and traditional in the sense where not all of them are open to holistic health and healing. And she was someone that was always, we kind of had the same mindset around natural healing, around supplements, around just functional nutrition. We had dinner together on one Saturday night, and it just felt like a full circle moment where I started my career in White Rock at this little hospital working as a dietitian. Then I went full-time into my business, left Canada, traveled the world, and now I'm back here in White Rock where it could have been anywhere else. My parents could have bought a place anywhere else, but they bought it here in White Rock down the street from the hospital. And I'm reconnecting with my boss, my old boss, and she's sharing all these things that she's doing, new projects that feels aligned to my business. And it feels good being back, you guys. And I never thought I would share this. Sometimes life brings you back to old places and people for a reason. And it's really interesting. And it's not a step back that I used to think, like going back to Vancouver is a step back. It's actually a step forward. Anyways, I wanted to share that, a quick little life update as to kind of how I'm feeling being back here so suddenly. And I thought I wouldn't feel good about it because I've always had this thing about Vancouver where I didn't like being here. I don't like the weather. I don't like being around my parents, but it's actually been so healing. And yeah, I'm very excited to be back. We'll see where life takes us, a bit of a life transition at the moment. I feel like I'm rebuilding my life again and starting another new chapter when I thought my new chapter was going to be in Colombia. So anyways, that's a little bit about what's been going on, but all really good things, all very positive, and I'm excited to kind of share a little bit more about my journey moving forward. But today, we're going to be talking about my client's journey. The purpose of me sharing episodes about client journeys is I want to inspire you and share real life testimonies of people who are able to heal their eczema, heal their chronic gut issues, heal their mindset, right? This is a really powerful story because she, like a lot of people who've been experiencing chronic symptoms, have been dealing with eczema all her life, had a really hard time last year, came to me when she was at a low point with her skin, and is now a completely different person. So I have my notes here just to share a little bit more about her journey. So my client, she had eczema all her life. She first had it when she was a baby and then didn't have anything in childhood and then developed it again when she was 26. In the past 9 years of her life, she's been having flares on and off, and they would come and go. It has never been as bad as it was last year. It all started after she gave birth. She also had some topical steroid use. It was not significant. She never used it for more than a couple weeks, so thankfully she never went through topical steroid withdrawal. So this client of mine, just like a lot of people who come to me, and I'm sure a lot of you may relate to this, she has tried and done everything to help heal her skin, from light therapy to elimination diets, which was extremely stressful for her and actually made it worse. Endless amounts of supplements, all the good quality ones, different kinds of supplements to address her root causes at the time. Candida cleanses, different herbs, gut tests. She even did nervous system healing coaching inside a program as well. And while some of those things did help her initially, she would always get temporary relief and temporary healing, but would never last. And one of the things that she shared with me in her initial intake form is that she finds that the mindset and stress likely the reason why she's not seeing the healing that she desires. When you have chronic symptoms going on your skin and in your body, whatever that looks like for you, makes you feel like not yourself, right? You lose your confidence, especially if you have severe flares. You don't feel good in your body if you have gut pain, if you have stomach issues. You might not even want to dress up or wear any makeup because you just don't feel good, right? When your health isn't at its best, in fact, if it's deteriorating, you're just not going to feel good in your body. And so prior to working with me, she wanted to work with someone that understood her journey and someone that she could relate to. So I have my own personal eczema journey and I went through TSW. One of the goals she shared back in October is that she wanted to gain her energy back. That was another symptom that she had. She wanted to feel better with herself, feel stronger mentally and physically, and of course, ultimately also heal her flares. And her dream vision, that's something that she really wanted to do but haven't been able to for a long time, is to go into the sauna, steam, and be able to swim. One of the questions here is I asked, let me know any goals, concerns, wants, and needs or desires to get the most out of this coaching experience. And she shared with me, I keep visualizing myself at a pampering spa day with swimming, sauna, body scrubs, massages, and facials without worrying about my skin. I haven't had a full body shower or bath in almost a year now. This is something that she really wanted back in October. I'm so excited to share where she's at today and all the things that we worked on to get her healing. But I thought it would be helpful for you guys listening to understand a little bit more about her journey and her history, because I know it can relate to some of you who have a similar journey, have used topical steroids, have tried a lot of things. And so this can help you resonate with my client's story. When we had her first session, which was the initial assessment call, this is where we deep dive into her case, her entire medical history, all of her symptoms, her diet. It's a deep dive into my client's case, and we do this for all of our one-on-one clients so we can understand exactly what's going on in the body and figure out her root causes. My client had a history of very strict dieting and being vegan. The thing with strict diets is that nutrient deficiencies are very common. And so that was one of her root causes that we identified. She was extremely nutrient deficient because of the long-standing history of restrictive dieting. Not only this, as a new mother, she had very high stress, and she also knew that stress was always one of her biggest root causes when it comes to eczema flares. But the difference between why the nervous system stuff she used to do didn't create long-lasting healing for her was because she actually had a lot of underlying limiting beliefs and some mindset blocks that we were able to identify and work worked through in the 6 months together. In addition to her nutrient deficiencies and stress as a root cause, we also found that she had severe gut dysbiosis. She did a gut stool test prior to working with me that showed that, but she also had a medical history that was in alignment. Chronic stress causes dysbiosis, but so does any history related to medication use. She was on rounds of antibiotics for a staph infection of her skin last year in 2024, and then the chronic stress from her actual health condition, from her eczema, caused further damage to her gut. On top of the stress, she had these limiting beliefs that we worked through together, but some of the common limiting beliefs that she was experiencing, and actually, a lot of my clients also experience similar type of limiting beliefs. The thoughts such as healing is never going to happen, this is never going to end, I don't trust myself in my healing journey. Those were her specific limiting beliefs, but it's actually very common in the healing journey with eczema and other chronic symptoms because you're experiencing these symptoms chronically. You feel them on your skin, you feel them in your body. Your whole life is literally revolved around your health. And so we had to work on a lot of these limiting beliefs and start clearing them in the step-by-step method that I use with my clients. That's where people start to see more healing happen because they feel less stressed. It's not easy, it's easier said than done. It took continuous mindset work for her to actually start seeing changes in her skin and in her body. So after the initial assessment call, all of my clients get a written protocol that is completely personalized. So there's diet recommendations, supplement recommendations, and anything else that would support my clients' healing, whether it's mindset tips, journaling prompts, skincare recommendations, anything that will help with the symptoms is a part of this protocol. We had to address her digestion. She wasn't digesting the foods that she was eating. We had to address dysbiosis. Specifically, she had candida. She was put on some supplements to help with that. And then because of the nutrient deficiencies, we recommended her a very high quality multivitamin and then also a stress support supplement. In the first few months of the journey, there were definitely ups and downs, right? She would heal, then flare. And that's the reality when it comes to holistic healing. There are going to be ups and downs, but she was consistent. She did the mindset work. She came to our calls. We did a lot of journaling together, affirmations, meditation, not only in our calls, which is what I love doing with my private coaching clients, is to actually do live mindfulness work. She was doing that on her own time and she put in the work, right? She was putting in the work when it comes to her mindset. She was optimizing her nutrition. That was also such an important piece with her healing because of her previous restrictive dieting. She needed to start adding back more protein, more fats, more nutrition, so that she could not only promote skin healing, but she was also trying to regulate her hormones and her periods again. And in just 6 months, she shared that she is 95% healed. So she used to have flares all over her neck, all over her hands, and other parts of her body. And she was experiencing these flares, remember, for years, right? 9 years on and off with these eczema flares. And she finally saw relief. And it's the first time in a long time where she's able to see longer healing without needing to restrict her diet, without needing to take a million supplements. She was on no more than 5 to 6 supplements, and she felt so much more peace, stress. Her nervous system started to regulate. And that was when she started to see longer healing. And you know what's amazing about some of the wins that she shared with me is that she actually swam in the ocean with zero pain or discomfort in her skin. Huge win, especially that was something that she wanted to achieve back in October last year. Her neck is clear, hands are clear, and she feels like she's gotten herself back. And now I actually want to read an actual review that she left on Google that I'm super grateful and super happy to see where she is at now today. I truly felt I was at rock bottom when I first started working with Julia. My skin was so inflamed. I hadn't had a full body shower in almost a year because my skin couldn't handle the water contact. Going swimming with my son was something I couldn't imagine in my wildest dreams. 6 months later, here I am having showers, going to the spa, swimming, feeling comfortable in my skin again. Julia helped me realize that my eczema is 99% linked to my stress, my emotions, and the internal dialogue I am having with myself. I have learned so much in my time with her. What she teaches is in theory very simple. to trust yourself and your body, but it takes dedicated work to put this understanding into practice. I know this doesn't mean I will never have eczema again, but when a flare comes, I can take it as a sign for my body that something is off and address this before it spirals out of control. Thanks for your support, Julia, and for helping me trust myself again. I would 100% recommend her if you feel that you need to change the relationship you have with yourself. Such a powerful, powerful message and incredible healing in just 6 months' time, which I know sounds like a long time for a lot of people. But if you were to put into perspective how long you've been experiencing flares and healing in just 6 months, even less, it's incredible. This is an example for those of you who listening who feel that mindset might be the reason why you're not healing. It just might be the case for you, because that was the case for my client. Her eczema always flared because of her stress and the thoughts that she had, intrusive thoughts about her healing journey, thoughts about her eczema, the relationship she had with herself. All of that is so key when it comes to addressing autoimmune and inflammatory conditions. This is why I shared in the previous episodes about the gut skin emotion connection, because your skin is a direct representation of how you feel about yourself, your current emotional well-being, and also your gut, right? Because all of it's all linked. When you work on the gut-brain-skin connection, you're going to start seeing amazing healing, versus if you just focus on the gut or you just focus on the brain, the mindset, it wouldn't work, right? Because your body is in constant communication, all the organs, all the systems, and it's really about piecing it all together to see the long-lasting healing. And having someone by your side is honestly a game changer. And I'm not saying this to like sell you anything, but I'm saying this like genuinely, it makes the biggest difference. Because right now, for me, for example, I work with a business coach, and it helps having someone by my side guide me, keep me accountable. If I have questions, I can always ask. That's the power of coaching, because you have someone there rooting you on, keeping you accountable, guiding you in this process in your healing. You no longer feel so alone and lost and confused. So if you take anything away from this episode, I hope this gave you some more insight as to other areas of your journey that you may want to look into, your mindset and your beliefs and all of those things, because it's truly that powerful. When you heal your mind, you heal your body. It's as simple as that. It's not a complicated diet. It's not restriction. It's not doing all the things. It's having a holistic protocol, having the right tools to support you. Not only did her eczema clear, her other symptoms started to heal as well. She started having her energy back. She started feeling more confident. She has been working on getting her period back because she lost it for so long. And she's now in her 6th cycle. So 6 months in a row, she has been having regular cycles. She's eating gluten again. Oh my God, I totally forgot this part. She avoided gluten for years because she thought that gluten was the reason why her eczema would flare. She was fearful of reintroducing back gluten again because it's been so long. And so another huge win on top of her skin healing is that she started eating sourdough. She started going out to have beer. She started eating more bread. And while this took time for her body to get used to, but she went from being pretty much 99% gluten-free to now enjoying gluten again. So if that's another goal of yours, you want to have more foods into your diet, you want to enjoy eating out, not having any of these restrictions, then this is possible for you. And I would love to work with you if that is something that you're looking for support in. I'm going to leave it at that. I could probably go on and on, but I don't want to go over time on this episode. If you love this episode, if this inspired you, if you were like, oh my God, I really need to hear this, please leave us a review on Apple iTunes or even on Spotify. That would be really helpful. Send me a DM. My DMs are always open on Instagram, juliachenda.rd. If you want to ask me questions, if you want to see how we can support you in your healing. And that's it. We will see you in the next episode. We had a guest speaker come on to talk about SIBO. That episode is going to be out very shortly. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day or night. And we will see you in the next one.